trying to do better and trying to make sure people know that you look fine, girl.
That's a lot of forehead.
I ain't no forehead. That ain't no real forehead. Have you seen Lester Holt? That's a forehead. I love Lester Holt. Don't get me wrong. But you know you can watch a whole movie on his forehead. You know that, right?
Don't be talking about Lester.
I love Lester.
He's good.
I love
Yeah,
Lester
he's
Holt.
good.
But you can watch a whole movie on his, like, the whole, like, widescreen.
They would be doing Lester wrong over
I know.
I'm like Lester.
Don't talk about it.
I want to be Lester. I want to be Lester.
Okay. 3 things I want to make sure I mention, plus the early voting website. All right.
Let me know when you're ready, boss.
Hold up, we got about 2 seconds.
All right.
Trying to keep everything when it comes through. I want her to hurry.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live from Office Plex on 10th and Jefferson. My man Phil is over here doing fantastic things with this building. You need to come in and check out what he's working on. If you have an event that you want to see, or host an event, or you want to do, come talk to my man. But more importantly, RadioNext.tv, Jumbo Love, Indiana's own. We need sponsors, y'all. You know we need sponsors. I told you we need sponsors. Y'all know I need sponsors. If you want to advertise, hey, politicians, you want to get your word out. It's a good place to advertise, especially on Turn Left. I mean, why wouldn't you? We got listeners in 92 counties. 92 counties. Anyway, hey, it's been a wild week. We didn't do as much heavy lifting this week. I've been kind of taking it easy. Haven't been hitting the road. But I want to say congratulations to all of the ladies that are working on Hoosier Women Forward. They sold out their lunch yesterday. They sold out their whole lunch that they're doing for next week. I mean, for Friday. I am so excited for them. Listen, we talking about the year of the woman. Here you have women doing fantastic things and making it happen. So they're lunching tomorrow. I'm excited for them. These are some of the top-notch ladies. They're having their first inaugural class. Man, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So you guys should check that out. Also, Mike McLelland, can I talk to you for just a minute, bruh? Mike McLelland, I know you were excited 2 weeks ago when you announced that, hey, I'm going to help curb panhandling in the Mile Square. And you Facebooked that out, and you were really excited that you were going to introduce an ordinance to the City County Council to curb panhandling. And you called it the Sit and Lie Ordinance. And I read it, Sit and Lie, and I was like, okay, this is my councilman in my district where I live, and I know my neighbors. My neighbors are really cool people, and they're really loving and caring and generous people. Why is my counselor introducing an ordinance that would essentially criminalize homelessness under the guise of panhandling? Listen, y'all, I'm not understanding what this thought process is. I'm not understanding where he's coming from with this. But if you create an ordinance that says that a person can't sit or stand in a square mile, what are we saying to homeless people? What are we saying to a population that has nowhere to go? And don't tell me about a shelter, which is what he did. He took the bait, and I'm sorry he did that. I Facebooked it out, and I said, I hope this isn't criminalizing, homelessness. And he chimed in and said, well, the homeless have shelters. Obviously, he does not understand how the homeless shelters work in this town. And to be so flippant with it suggests that you really have no clue of what it's like to be homeless or to be on the street and to be hungry and just asking for a little money for some food. I give what I can, when I can. If I can't give anything, I don't. Right? But I can't imagine creating legislation and introducing legislation in Indianapolis, Marion County, that basically says, no, you can't sit and you can't lie in the Mile Square. where are they gonna go? You gonna? Oh, I know, Mike. You want them out there on 82nd and Hague with us, right? That's where they gonna hang out at. In Lawrence Township, no, you know good and daggone well that's not what's gonna happen. Bruh, I'm gonna need you to check yourself on this bill. You need to check your humanity. You need to check where you're getting this information from and you thinking this is a good idea. Because if you don't check yourself, I'm sorry, we will find someone to check you in 2019. What? Yes, I did. I said it. We'll find somebody to run against you and we'll beat you. Yes, because that's just insane, sir. You are criminalizing homelessness. I don't know what could be more degrading and more inhumane than to suggest that, you know, they would, what were you going to fine them? What they got to go panhandle to get the money? What kind of, you going to lock them up? What are you going to do? I think you need to check that, brother. I'm not happy with that one. I'm ashamed to say that this is my councilman in my district. But if you keep it up, I will find me somebody else to run against you if I don't do it myself. Anyway, Indiana Zone, turn left. All right, I have some great guests here tonight. You already know how we do. First of all, repeat, comeback guest. She's amazing. Last time she was here, she gave you some more insight on what it's like to run the small claims and be a small claims judge. Yes, that's 2 weeks in a row we've had small claims judges, because why? They're on the ballot. She's running for office. Y'all welcome Judge Kim Bacon. And of course,
Good evening, everybody.
all the way down from Fort Wayne. Woo! I met this cool brother when I went up to congratulate Courtney Trich when she won the primary. He just had such energy and such light and was so welcoming. And when we probably had like seen each other, but really didn't know each other. But it was like, we homies for life. So y'all welcome to the show, Jorge Fernandez. He is running for House District and House Rep in District 50. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us on.
All right, so check this out. I'm gonna start. Kim, since people know and love you already, I'm gonna start with Jorge. They do love you, girl. They be like, sister girl judge, sister girl judge. I'm trying to tell y'all, black women, hello. Jorge, tell people who you are and where you come from.
Well, I'm Jorge Fernandez. I was actually born in Miami, Florida, to parents. Immigrants. They met each other at University of North Florida from 2 different continents.
Okay.
Not North America.
Okay.
So after high school, I came up to college here, Taylor University, an hour south of Fort Wayne, Upland campus, out in the cornfields, like the town's like 1,000 people. And I got to see that side of Indiana. And then after college, I went up to got a position in Fort Wayne. Knew some people that had been in Fort Wayne because they had been to the they had been in the Taylor Fort Wayne campus when that closed in 2010.
Okay.
So
yes.
Yeah,
that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know.
They're doing a good job with the bill with that complex.
I just get nervous when our institutions of higher learning are closing down because it's like we ain't stopped making people.
Access.
You know what I'm saying?
Limited.
Yeah. We haven't stopped making people, and we still need to educate them. And we had space for all these. And Purdue is like overcrowded. So I'm sorry. Go ahead. I get on my soapboxes every now and then. You have to forgive me.
Yeah, so taught Fort Wayne Community Schools for 5 years.
I'm sorry, you're a teacher?
I'm a teacher.
I did not know that.
And integrated chemistry, physics, and chemistry.
Sounds smart. Very smart.
You know, it would be really cool if we had a scientist, a real scientist, you know, in the State House. Someone that understands the periodic table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got people struggling with climate change down there.
Yes.
Right.
And so I've been doing some things since I left Fort Wayne Community. Been tutoring, focused on the campaign right now.
Of course.
And you know, that's where I am. Right now.
So I gotta ask you. I mean, if you grew up in North Florida, I mean, winters in Indiana are pretty tough. You stayed anyway.
Yeah, I stayed anyway. I really don't like the summers down there. So you know,
it was like a nice
give
balance.
and take. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did not know that you were an immigrant. I mean, I'm learning. I mean,
well,
again,
I was born in Miami, Florida. My parents are immigrants. Yeah.
So, as a second generation American. Okay, excellent. So, when you see the conversation in the American lexicon right now about immigration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are your thoughts? What is going through your mind when you hear these people talking about we want walls?
It's just so antithetical to the way I was raised. There's I have family members, different political persuasions, but something that they agreed on was the beauty of people coming from different countries to this country and making the country as a better place for everyone. And so I was immersed in multiculturalism growing up in Miami, Florida. People from different cultures. Yeah.
Miami hot, baby.
Yeah.
Welcome to Miami. Okay, I'm sorry. I had some youthful experiences there before the internet.
Well, Will Smith.
Yeah.
Long before the internet.
So yeah, it's just been incredible because I got into politics before before 2016.
Okay.
I was volunteering with campaigns. I was worried about education before 2016, and then 2016 happened, and it's like, what has the Republican Party become? The party has gone from Abraham Lincoln to Donald Trump.
The fact that you even said that those two names in the same breath.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Lord.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we are. I mean, but we got to make changes, and we can be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Hold that, because I want to dive into your campaign. But before we get there, Judge Bacon, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Always. First of all, I love talking to you whenever we get together because you always give me insight. Just for the people that maybe didn't see the show last time, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
All right. Thank you. First of all, I am a judge in my first term. I was elected in 2014 and up for re-election here in 2018. And prior to becoming a judge, I was a solo practitioner here in Marion County for 14 plus years. I traveled around the state with different cases, but my practice consisted of family law, criminal law. I was a public defender for 14 plus years.
Ooh.
And then I also did probate and juvenile law. So I did a lot of things that were about family. And that was the genesis and the real groundwork for me and to me for why I wanted to become a judge, because I wanted to effectuate change. I've been here in Indianapolis since I was 2, so in my opinion, it's my lifelong. I've lived here all my life.
I feel you.
I went to Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for undergrad and law school, and came back home and have
HBCU.
Laid my seeds here and my foundation, and continue to be here in Lawrence Township and being in my community with my child and my husband. So
that's wonderful.
That's me in a nutshell.
That's you in a nutshell. So when we talk about small claims, I know we had Judge Gerald on last week, and he was incredibly insightful. And last time you were here, you were insightful. It's a little different than creating law. You're actually interpreting law.
Yes.
And then from a small claims point of view, you're actually doing it for very small. It's not court. It's not. Your court isn't like big trial cases. It's explain to people what small claims court is for you.
So, in my court, and I always tell people in order for them to understand on the simplest form, I'm basically the Judge Judy or Judge Mathis for Lawrence Township. It doesn't get as wild and raucous as that because I do like to maintain a decorum in my courtroom. But for me, I consider small claims court a community court.
Okay.
A court where the citizens of Lawrence Township and people are able to come and file claims with a jurisdictional limit of $8,000 or less. And when they come in, they can come in without an attorney. And my court is a court where you are able to be heard and have your issues aired out. Such issues as community disputes, between neighbors, debt collection, credit card debt collection, medical debt collection, landlord-tenant matters, and personal injury claims, again, that are under $8,000. So we handle an array of different cases. They just simply have that limit of $8,000 or less. And the purpose of our court is to be an expedited court, an expedited process, so that you don't have to spend 18 months to 3 years waiting on a court date downtown. You get to come to our court, and we like to try and have cases resolved, in 90 days, 6 months, but we want to make sure that justice is disposed of in an expedited manner. And so that's the purpose of our court. And and for me, I want to make sure that the citizens of Lawrence are able to have a place where they can come and resolve their issues without having to, I would say, dispute and litigate everything.
Right.
Don't be afraid to come and have a discussion with a judicial officer, which is me, and the other side, so that we can try and work towards a resolution to resolving the claims without them escalating to higher levels or more expenses that can be incurred or associated as a result of going downtown. So that's my objective of the court.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were a defense attorney.
Yes.
And you were in the public defender's office, which is woefully underfunded. Anybody that's picked up, the new Jim Crow and has ever read it, you understand the dynamics between what prosecutors make and what funding is for prosecutors and what funding is for public defenders. What pieces of that experience have you taken into the court as a judge in small claims?
So for me, I was a contract public defender. So that starts with an overflow of cases. When there's more than one co-defendant, or if the public defenders in the agency maybe have reached their maximum level of caseloads, and then they have to start asking the contract public defenders to take on cases or take on co-defendants, because there would be a conflict of interest. And so what I would see in that situation is that you are still dealing with an indigent population that cannot afford counsel, and so they get appointed an attorney. And that's what the public defender is. A lot of people mistaken the fact that public defenders they believe that they're not attorneys, but they are licensed attorneys.
Absolutely.
And they do a very good job, because they are managing cases and caseloads and making sure that everybody gets representation when they otherwise couldn't afford it. So for me, in doing that job, you come across a number of people that are just very plain spoken, that have issues that if you hear what they are saying, then you are able to kind of interpret, because they're not always as what you would want to say able to explain, because they don't have the resources to get done everything that they needed to get done on a case, and so they are with you at the public defender's agency trying to ferret through their issues and get things done. So as a small claims court judge, I see a lot of that same population.
Okay.
And I see oftentimes not always indigent populations, but people with limited resources that cannot afford an attorney and would like to have their case litigated, and so they come to the small claims court. In the debt collection circumstances, I see many people that have had a hiccup in life. They may have had an illness which caused them to not be able to be employed, or they've missed some weeks of work, and that one little hiccup can throw their whole situation off. And then they begin to spiral if they can't pay their rent, or if they can't pay that medical bill and they get caught with a garnishment unexpectedly. Then that starts the downward spiral for them in their finances. They
don't want them on the mile square if Mike McLelland has anything to do with it.
And that can create family instability. And so those are the concerns and the things that I try and observe and recognize in my court when I'm dealing with issues that come before me with the litigants in the court, and try and be respectful of people's circumstances and let that be a mitigator and something to consider, rather than this person didn't pay their bill or they didn't just pay their rent. There are reasons, and most people look to try and be responsible adults in being able to pay their way and their share in life, and they're not always trying to just get away with something. So
Jorge, she's bringing up some really great points in that people really are trying to be great citizens. They want to do the right thing. When we see legislators, I'm sure they think they want to do the right thing, but when you see them passing SB 309, which is the anti renewable energy bills, or some of the legislation that that hurts working families. What is your take on? Because I'm sure you like Kim, and that you believe that people want to be good people. But what are you thinking about these legislators who are passing laws that are just obviously not geared towards the working person?
Well, I mean, it shows that their priorities are with their donors, and their donors aren't the average person, the average working person.
Absolutely not.
It's and it goes beyond just the working class. It also like small businesses. I mean, if we remember the vaping law back in
Oh
2015.
man, that thing was so bad.
Mhm.
Like, because I didn't learn about it until like I was halfway through the campaign in 2016, and a young man was telling me that he's having to shut his shop down because you have to buy all your vape oils and all your stuff from this one supplier. And it was like, how did they get away with passing that bill?
Yeah, and then it was struck down by the
Right.
US
And now
Supreme Court.
the vape shops are up, but it's like the money that you took to build your business and then have to shut it down and then restart all over again if you decided to.
Yeah, and it wasn't just, donations. I mean, some of these legislators that were involved in passing it got positions at those companies that were getting the special, that fulfilled those special requirements that didn't make any sense.
Right. And it just kind of just annoys me sometimes that I, see people, they're not taking the voter into consideration. They're just lining their pockets.
Mhm.
What do you want to change about that when you get to?
We need a big solution is sunlight. I think that we have open door policies in the state, but transparency. We can't. We've had rulings where they've allowed the legislature to be more restrictive. I mean, Brian Bosma didn't allow I know you're you've
Punham Gill.
Yeah, I'm going over Punham Gill.
Yes, she's wonderful.
There was an email by I think it was to Eric Koch about some environmental issues, and we'll never see that email if we don't probably because the court said, oh, it's within Brian Bosma's purview to exclude work products from the the open the freedom of information request.
Yeah.
I mean, and Brian Bosma's been stellar. I mean, his payday loan bill that he that would benefit two businesses in Ohio and a business in Mexico, where they could jack up the interest rates to 200+% was. I mean, Brian Bosma just. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy, and I'm certain that people love him. I mean, just like Jeffrey Dahmer had people that loved him. I'm just saying.
But these are the same cases and people that come through my court that have gotten caught up and getting cash advances and different types of fees assessed to them through those types of programs, and then they're forced to try and come up with ways to pay it, and quite honestly, they can never get out of the hole. And then they get levied with that judgment that leads to a garnishment of their wages.
And everything is so connected. I mean, so they're finding themselves in financial trouble, but our wages have been stagnant. We haven't received any, really any real wage increases across the board. But the cost of living is going up because we've had increases in taxes and different new fines. And it's like, how is anyone ever to get ahead if somebody is not creating legislation that actually looks out for the people versus the multi-billion-dollar businesses?
Yeah, I mean, and you see it with common construction wage. This is wage committee, prevailing wage committees that kept a standard on what qualified for construction contracting, and now it's like the wild west out there with contracting.
And there's never a better example than if you're downtown. The Cummings building and the Whole Foods building, they were going up at the same time, and the Cummings building used the union labor. The Whole Foods building did not, and the Cummings building was up and moving and thriving, and that Whole Foods building, it took like forever. It was like, are they ever gonna get this done? You could just the efficiency of union and the fact that you can see the difference. Yes. And then on top of that, and I'm gonna say it until people get tired of me saying it. I don't care if when they tired, I'm gonna keep on saying it. The Indiana Chamber of Commerce is working diligently to train companies to bust up unions.
It's disgusting, but what's shocking is. You look at the members, you look at the people that are the companies that are contributing, the organizations that are contributing, and there's like 501c3s. I think Parkview, I think some of the hospitals, I should say, because there's good people that work at.
Sure, there's good people everywhere. They just get caught up.
But I'm pretty sure that some of these hospitals that are part of that organization are nonprofit organizations, but they're endorsing. They're endorsing like Jim Banks. They're up there in third congressional endorsement. They're endorsing like Andy Zay with his "racism is not real" comments.
Oh, okay, wait, stop. Let's just go there for a minute. Let's just go there for a minute, all right? Come back over this way.
I'm ready.
Let's talk about that, y'all. Okay, so when we found it, because he said it several years ago, right? When he said, racism isn't real, and the most marginalized group are white males. You're of a Hispanic background, and you got two sisters. So sorry, there's no white folks to chime in on this subject. What feeling did you have, Kim, when you saw that?
What my concern is that simply that they will never be able to understand the position or the place that we are in, and for him to make that comment, it just affirmed that for me, that it was not something that he would ever realize, and he wasn't really trying to realize it. He once again put himself first, and it was an elitist comment, an entitlement comment, and that was unfortunate. And I truly thought that he would come back around, that he would have had somebody else in his PR world that might say, you might want to rethink that, you might want to restate that.
Did he double down on that?
Double down, yeah.
I would consider it doubling down.
Jorge, was it?
I mean, he referred to it as a gotcha moment, and you look at the entire conversation, it's like, how, in what context do you say that? It's like, are you an actor? Are you you would think like Sasha Baron Cohen busted into his room and just got him to say something. That's not the
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Context of the conversation. So it's unfathomable that it really is. It's that you cannot. It just doesn't make sense unless you refuse to see the struggles that are going on, even in your own community. There was somebody that was there's a trial that's supposed to go for, I think it's supposed to start in October, for somebody that stabbed someone because their father, the father of the person that was killed, this is in Huntington, said that his son defended somebody who was being called the N-word in Huntington, and and this person was killed. So. And apparently this trial is supposed to look
It's terribly unfortunate. And then you, like you said, you mentioned Jim Banks. Courtney Trich is doing what she's got to do to raise some money, and as a Democrat, she's embracing all of who we are and everybody in the Big Tent. And the Jim Banks campaign basically says she ought to be ashamed of herself.
I just love that you know everything that's going on. I am completely
No, I don't know
thoroughly
everything.
impressed
I don't know everything. That a lot of people get caught up in the noise and stuff. If you notice, I haven't talked about the Kavanaugh hearings.
Yeah.
I know we will get to that because it's more of a for me it's. Y'all do realize, 1 in 3 women have been assaulted in their lifetime, and we're going to get to that. But my goal is to stay in the 92 counties because there's so much that is going on right here that matters to us every day. All that noise in Washington, you can get caught up. But bottom line is the bills that come out of that state house. In fact, people don't even realize the most power is from that state house because the state house can dictate what Indianapolis does, which is the largest municipality. It has the most citizenry and the largest population, but it can still dictate how many council members it can have on its city county council. But at the same time, when the federal government passes, health care, they can decide, the state house can decide whether or not it was going to expand Medicare so that you can reap the benefits of this new federal law that was passed down. The state house has so much power. States' rights is real. Yes. So when people talk about, sometimes we get caught up in the states' rights and we want to talk about slavery and people, no. States' rights is real. Yeah. That's where the power is. If we don't understand that, all that noise at the Fed level.
Washington is not the reason why we're one of 5 states that doesn't have a hate crime bill.
It's not. It's not. Washington is not the reason why we're 48th in quality of life and 50th in small business. So now Republicans, either you're gonna do something about the humans or you're gonna do something about the small business. Yes. Either one. But anyway, back to Courtney Trich and Jim Banks. Jim Banks, basically was saying that Courtney Trich ought to be ashamed of herself for dancing with drag queens who were raising money for her. And he was like, oh, this, we're family. This is a family, and I couldn't, Did you just say that gay people don't have families and we're not worthy of? What are you saying, Jim Banks? I mean, people have just they've gotten real comfortable in this
in the era of Donald Trump.
They've gotten comfortable. Yeah. I try to tell people all the time, don't forget I'm a black woman. I will come for you.
You have to, if you are shutting your mind, then you're shutting down access to everything.
Exactly.
If you close your mind, yeah.
Well, they keep operating in these dog whistles, and dog whistles become more and more and more blatant.
Yes. And what's so killer about it is that they don't even realize they're voting against their own interests. If people really step back and really looked at what is really happening in our country, yes. Historically, race has played a role in pretty much everything, and gender as well. But it's really been socioeconomic. It's always been about economics. How can the elite class maintain its status of elite? You can't have poor white people and poor people of color getting together because there's way too many of them. This is the same thing they was doing way back. How you get poor white people to fight in a civil war to maintain free labor when the war is over, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but this is what they did. And so anyway, so we gotta enough of the dog whistles. I mean, I think, and I also think if you man and woman enough to write that in a book or come say it to my face, let's talk about it. I'm not violent. I'm just saying,
You want to have a conversation.
Yes.
So you can air your opinion.
Yes. Come say it to me.
Well, I was thinking back to what Jorge was saying about much of the legislation. It's just it does miss the middle class, and it does miss the indigent population, the lower middle class, and the poor. Because unfortunately, as they are being able to create these companies and leaving the small businesses behind, that's what's left in the communities. Because a lot of these companies they make their money and run, and then you're left with desolate communities that have food deserts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the housing starts to deteriorate, and then things like that, and then they become rentals, and then even in our county, a lot of our rental properties are not even owned locally.
Wow.
They're owned by people that don't even live in the state or don't even live in the country.
Wow.
And so they have no connection, no sense of community in order to make sure that our communities remain in good, intact,
right,
and are well maintained. And so that's a part of the problem too. Yeah. And so a lot of that gets away, and our legislators aren't, because we don't have enough Dems down there.
Not enough, not nearly enough. We're trying to send them some help, though.
Yes,
we
trying. And because we don't have enough Democrats down there, then a lot of that gets overlooked, and that's the unfortunate part. And then because downtown in the State House, so many people say, well, it's not just about Marion County.
It's not.
It's not. But this is probably the place where the growth is going to begin.
This is the economic hub.
Exactly, and this is where the companies are being attracted to. So we have to do something to protect and make sure that Marion County's kept well. And then the larger counties, such as Allen County, Lake County, we have to make sure that that's where our economic growth is, because those are the counties that the businesses want to look at to expand out from Marion County. So, I mean, I think it's important, and until and unless we get more representation down there, it's not going to happen, because unfortunately they will legislate against us and around us before they legislate for us if we don't start making representation.
And it's like it's not like a lot of the small mom and pop stores that have a lot of influence in the Indiana Chamber. It's a lot of these organizations that people that from across the spectrum will say they're taking advantage of people. Or the health insurance companies are big donors to the Indiana Chamber.
Yes.
But I'm surprised if you look at the list of the people that are part of the Indiana Chamber. Some of the people some of the groups that are on there, like French Lick.
They get a lot of money from us. They get more money. French Lick be happy when we come down there for IDEA. They be like, here come the Democrats. Here come the Democrats. And it's just unfortunate that there are. I think when some of our legislators start off with a plan like the Betsy DeVos nonsense with the attempt to and being successful at it, unfortunately, of privatizing our public education. I don't think they ever. I think they really wanted to keep it in urban areas. The goal was to keep it in the urban areas, but the unintended consequences have been these rural areas who are now being underfunded because because the dollars are not there. They're going to the voucher system, and you've got rural communities that are struggling. They I don't think they ever intended for their people to be hurting. And when I say their people, I mean the representatives who voted for this thing, right? Because these are in their communities. I don't think they ever imagined it would impact their communities in the same way. And now, and there's not a lot of people. The population is not very dense, so they're not making as much noise, and so people don't realize how neglected some of our rural communities are.
It's amazing that they go along with the talking points that are provided to them by these groups. I mean, one of the special interest groups that advocates and spends a lot of money on campaigns in this state for the privatization agenda. My opponent this is my second time running. My opponent in 2016.
Okay,
I'll admit
good.
that.
Yes, and you're back.
Persistence.
Yes. I decided to have a radio show instead.
In 2016, he was bragging about getting an endorsement from this privatization group in like one of his paper ads. He's like, I'm endorsed by these groups, and
See, and we had a social contract. A social contract to make sure that every student, regardless of where they come from, should get a quality education. And now these guys are like, yeah, I got mine, good luck. I mean, it's so disheartening. It's so disheartening. So when you get elected, what is the first piece of legislation you're going to work on?
Well, it depends on what other people want to work on, because it's a long list.
In other words, you're talking about
I think in the House they actually
What's your
right now limit how many
constituency
bills you can actually introduce.
Right.
So I gotta kind of coordinate that.
That's awesome. You're the first person to say that. That's like people. Your initial concept now is, well, once I get elected, I gotta coordinate. I gotta work with my people. I love that. Thank you.
What the priorities
Yes.
are. That's right.
Thank you.
Yes.
I definitely want to see an independent redistricting. So I would figure that somebody else would pick that up, especially if we get the majority.
Yes. I just want to get rid of the supermajority. If I can get rid of
you got to dream big.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I mean, no. You're fine. I love that passion, brother. Bring it. I just want to. I also try to be realistic, because I like to help mitigate expectations. So because people got into like crazy funks. After the 2016 election, like people.
I was realistic about 2016 election, but I think I've looked at the numbers. The majority is not off the question.
Wow.
See, the thing is because they've. I mean, what they've done.
Well, you're a scientist.
I'm good. I like it.
Statistics. Yes.
I mean, I don't have all the numbers in front of me right now, but the thing is it's designed to go from from majority to supermajority really quickly. So if you have kind of a wave election, then that starts breaking down. At some point it breaks down a lot of seats very quickly.
Yeah.
So.
And I actually believe that this is the year where the down ballot races are going to help the up ballot race.
And I believe that too.
I mean, with all the women that are on the ballot, I mean, like Monroe County, every woman that ran in the primary won, even precinct level. I mean, it was so bad. It was so bad. There was a professor in Professor IU that wrote an editorial to the Monroe Bloomington paper, whatever it was, talking about they were just voting for these women because they were just women. Shut it up! You are not allowed to whine and cry about how many women got elected when we're only 19% of the electorate. Shut up! But anyway, but I think that the down ballot is going to help the up ballot. I mean, because there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of desire for change. I think that there are some people who are starting to see, wait a second, our infrastructure is crumbling, our education system's kind of in shambles. You're raising toll roads, you're raising gas taxes, but I'm not seeing anything. I think the wave is going to hit at all levels.
Our taxation system is totally regressive. I think we can talk about it.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say I agree with you, Dana, with respects to the down ballots helping the upper ballots, because where a lot of people may be frustrated with the noise that's coming out of Washington, a lot of people know the people that are running in their communities.
Yes.
And they are coming to support them and saying, you're hearing what I'm saying. You have been in the community. You know what I'm saying. You've seen it. You observed it. You've experienced it. Now go forward and do the work to bring us back, to help us out.
Because the grassroots has been real. The coordinated campaign has been out there in all regions of the state. I mean, there is a 92 county strategy, and I love the amount of, I'm on Facebook, social media all the time. I love seeing the pictures of people canvassing.
Yes.
Because that means you're out touching the people. Or
Yeah.
when they go to festivals,
Oh,
or
yeah.
when they go, that means we're touching people.
Yes.
Instead of just a TV ad, because the Republican Party has so much money, they ain't really got to go out and do nothing. You know.
Well, I love knocking on doors. I do. I love talking to people and getting a response. They've been very positive. They've been very welcoming, and they want to have a conversation. And so I like the fact that I get to have that same conversation with them, and it let them experience my personality and meet me, because that way they're not voting on a piece of paper based upon a name with a party next to it. They're voting on the person that they met and they had an engaging conversation with. So that is what is important to me, and that's what I've been trying to get out and do. And I think that the whole party has been doing that.
Yeah.
Because I know that we've all been working hard, knocking on doors, getting our
Even us that ain't known about it.
Yes, exactly. Just joining in and getting out in the neighborhood.
So what do you see when you're knocking on doors?
I think people want change. People are excited that someone's come to the door, because it's become, politics become very impersonal a lot. It's like it's about these big, the big races, federal races, the statewide races, and then when you get down and you have, you actually met who wants to represent you.
Yes.
Yeah. That excites people. That
you have a personal connection. When you get to have that personal connection and say, I met you, or I took a picture with you and I'm still rooting for you, or you go to that same Starbucks, every morning, and they know who you are, but they don't know who you are. Then they discover who you are, and they're like, oh, she's been nice all this time. She's been consistent.
Yes.
She is who she is, and I embrace that.
And that's a responsibility I think we have as politicians or
Yes.
people running for office, or those of us who want to be public servants. Because that's how I look at it. I don't always have good days.
Yes.
There are some days, Lord Jesus. But I cannot be that way in public, because you never know who's watching you.
That's right.
It is up to, even when I struggle, because we all have the full gamut of emotions. My emotions don't cut off. But I think it is incumbent upon us as people who want to be servants that we make ourselves available. Like, my wife jokes all the time how before 2016 we never got any mailings from Brian Bosman. And now Maya's like, you ran for office, he chopping down all the damn trees. We get mailings every month. Why you gotta have him kill the trees? I'm like, baby, he knows that we here now.
Yeah. That's the only connection you talk with people in the district. So usually the only connection they have with their
It's a mailer. Jim Merritt is the same way.
And usually it's taxpayer funded mailing.
Right, Jim Merritt is the same way. And this guy, he's already talking about running for the mayor of Indianapolis.
Yep.
We will not allow that to ever happen.
No.
Ever.
No.
I'm telling you now, Joe Hawk said, just know you got a team, you got an army. We will. Jim Merritt, are you kidding me?
Isn't responsible for shutting down the early, or being, appointing that person that shut down the early
voting locations. Yes, so we only have one. So why would I want
one downtown?
Yes, Jim Merritt. Throw your hat in the ring. I'll have fun with you just because.
Yeah.
And Mayor Joe will take. I'm not even worried about Mayor Joe winning, but we gonna have an army out there to say, this guy is actually trying to, suppress your vote.
Yes.
Why would you want him to be mayor? He don't want that. He don't want none of that.
Yeah, and we need state legislators next year that are going to deal with it with our.
Well, we're gonna get Derek Camp. Derek Camp is running against. Derek Camp is running. He's running a great campaign. He's a good upcoming young Democrat.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna touch on some little. People. We've mentioned it a couple times. People have been a little disgruntled with our party, right? People are a little bit. We in 2016 we lost a lot of voters. Because they were like, the Democratic Party, it just, where are you? You're not in touch. And one of the things, I took that personal, like, okay, I need to do what I can, right, to be a leader in the party and try to put forth a different effort. I know in some of your areas, when you're out canvassing, it's best to not say your party, but you definitely can say your party. But when you think about, trying to improve the party's image, how do you feel about that?
I think we need a party that says, okay, we're going to listen to you, and that's what a lot of people are looking for. They a lot of candidates come and they come with all their ideas,
right,
and they don't leave a lot of room for I actually want to hear what you want to say. Like, we have in our state, a lot of states have referendum processes. They can put we have the citizen-led referendum processes where they can actually get signatures and they can have a vote on something at a statewide level when their legislatures just won't do something. And here we don't have that option currently.
You should write that.
That is one that if independent redistricting is taken, that's gonna. I mean,
I'm telling you, they limit the amount of House,
I know,
but not the Senate.
and
They can do
it's a
whatever.
short session.
Yeah, it's a short session.
wait?
Yeah.
Because last year was budget,
Oh,
wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a
but
short
next year is
session.
going to be budget again.
It was a short session this year.
Oh,
I think
next year. Okay, so
Yeah.
2019 is.
If
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not mistaken.
Long,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Woo, I can't keep up. These years are starting to run together. There was a picture that came up on Facebook of me and my buddy the first time I went canvassing, and it was 4 years ago. And I'm like, we've been doing this for 4 years? Y'all been doing it longer than me, though, so I love it. All right.
I got a third one, too.
Okay, all right.
Removing the requirement to evaluate teachers by standardized tests. So I got a lot of them.
yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the way we treat our teachers right now, it's like all of a sudden we forgot that public school teachers will actually put people on the moon. You know what I'm saying? Think about that.
Yeah.
Public school teachers put people on the moon. You don't have a Neil Armstrong to go to astronaut school, to go to college if he doesn't start off in public education.
No,
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Public school teachers have been the essence of our society forever. Even the one-room house,
Yes.
you know, the teacher. And now it's like all of a sudden they the scourge of the earth, and then we gotta test them, and we're not gonna pay. We're not gonna pay them.
But we're gonna spend I think it's like $100 million over every 2 years for this testing in the current
Why not just
country,
give the $100 million to the teachers?
And that way they're
That's
retained.
another one.
They're retained. They can put their money back in their classroom and keep their own money in their pocket.
So they have to be Uber drivers in the evening.
Exactly.
You know, that's just crazy.
Then come into school the next day tired and unable to even continue with what they've got to do because they don't have the resources and everything they
And of
need.
course, they're going to be in public schools where the public schools have to take all students. They're not like private schools where they get to pick and choose a student. So if you have a class with 2 children who are hungry because their parents are dealing with the opioid addiction and they're hungry, now you got a little extra that you have to deal with.
Teachers get blamed for everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
And then they want to have guns.
I can't just put a bill that just says stop blaming teachers for stuff, but
Actually, you can, and then they want to give them guns.
a resolution maybe.
They want to give them
So let me
guns.
go back to what you were saying about the things that you think that the party could improve on.
Yeah.
I love my party and I'm all in. I'm a strong Democrat, never voted any other way, and I will continue to be that way till the day I die.
Right.
But I do want to say that I think that our party has done a great job, especially with this election cycle, with making sure that our tickets reflect our communities, and I think we should
The
still
diversity
doing
of
that.
the South.
The diversity of the party, and that we are inclusive. I think that we also need to work at making sure that we have conversations. The one thing I always get worried about is that the other party has always out-strategized us because they have looked ahead. And we are looking in the moment.
Right.
And I think that we need to work at making sure that we continue to have small conversations and doing the things on the small levels, but also understand that we have to look at the big picture as we are having the small conversations.
So we gotta think forward,
So we
yeah.
think forward, and we're leaning forward,
Okay.
not just being in the moment.
Okay.
And I think we do a great job within the moment, but we have to work harder at looking at what the other side is doing too,
Yeah, because
because
Curtis Hill slipped in on us.
they
Crazy.
are strategizing not for our benefit,
Oh no.
but they are recognizing the trends and going around it, such as with the gerrymandering, such
Yeah.
as with
Oh, yeah.
the fact that it was going to be the local governments that were going to be able to make the difference in the state governments and then onto the national politics. That's why we ended up in the situation that we are in.
Maps
And-
ended up with,
yes, and so we have to observe and recognize that we have to do a better job at making sure that we are working on a local level, on our smaller levels, doing our kitchen conversations with our constituents, and then making sure that we have a long-term strategy and plan.
And I hope we have, I know some of the younger millennial folks are always talking about they don't have a party affiliation, but I hope I actually like The party for the because there's power in numbers.
Yes.
There's power in numbers and the ability to organize and to create a movement. Not everybody in our party is wonderful. I mean, every demographic.
Every family has
right.
differences.
Every
family
demographic,
has
and
differences.
I heard the best analogy. Republicans are like sheep, and Democrats are like cats. You can herd sheep, but you can't herd cats. So I heard that this weekend. This week. It was an interesting analogy.
Yeah.
Well, there's the old phrase: Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah. But we are like herding cats. Do you know how hard it is to herd cats? I mean, it's with a big tent. We take everybody.
But it's also on their side. They're falling in line. It's it's a fake sense of unity because they all unite around what they hate. They don't like.
Right.
And
fear.
The fear. So on dividing people now. I mean that's obviously that hasn't always been the party. When I talk about Abraham Lincoln,
right.
Their party's wouldn't even be recognizable to him. I think it's fair to say.
I don't think the party is recognizable to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
I think that they would each maybe be in different parties if they were looking at the state of the country today.
And people forget that.
And they may not even be in a party.
Right.
They may have be much more centrist than what they were.
Abraham
in their time.
Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, they were progressives.
Yeah.
People forget, even though they were Republicans, they were progressives.
Yeah.
The Republican Party was the progressive party until, and that nobody wants to talk about it, until the 1964 Civil Rights Act, 1965 Voting Rights Act, and the Dixiecrats were like, we still like separate but equal. What are y'all doing? So, then they had the Southern strategy, and next thing you know, everybody's flip-flopping.
And Nixon, and
Well,
then
FDR
it's all the crime, the fear of crime, and the mass incarceration.
FDR had a lot to do with it too because he actually he helped all the poor. So FDR had some because think about it, minorities all voted Republican up until FDR, and FDR actually got some
the parties change, and that's something that we see through the primary process. It used to be, in the early days, it was like the smoke-filled rooms you talk about. It still feels like that when you have so many appointments happening for special because people are resignations, state legislature, but it was the smoke-filled rooms, and so now it's primaries.
Exactly what they want, and it's in their interest. It's not necessarily to the people's interest.
But the best part about it all is everybody in the party, with the exception of the executive staff, are volunteers. Yeah. So anybody that doesn't like or isn't happy with the direction, you can actually just join. The only thing we say is don't bash us in public. That's the only thing we say. That's the only rule. You can
be constructive.
Be constructive. You know what I'm saying? So if you and I don't normally do that, but I wanted to ask that question because as Democrats, and I know that I'm a Democrat through and through, because there's no way I can vote for a party that continues to write legislation that harms me. And they've done. I mean, let's just talk about RFRA. Let's just talk about the mass incarceration and the difference between crack and you doing things that harm me. I can never. You obviously don't like me, so why would I vote for you?
Well, I mean that's the thing we talk about. Primaries are a chance for the parties to change, and that's why we don't have Republican Party was the third party that came originally, and then it came to the mainstream. We don't have that so much because the parties changed, but it's like the Republican Party. Their primaries are going. Become more Trump-like. It's not it's just this. Yeah.
But it's only 33%. I mean, so
I know exactly.
That means 67% are on the other side.
Right.
67%.
I mean, they can live in their bubble.
And this is sweet. And you know what? I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
I get in my bubble because when I hear people talk, sometimes I'm like, where did you get that from? Don't you understand? Wait, did you ever pick up a man's book?
But sometimes you have to go and listen to the other side in order to be able to know and understand what their issues are in order to be able to communicate and reach out to them in the future.
All right, Jorge, before we run out of time, I need you to tell people where they can find you.
Okay, so my number, don't worry, this is not my personal number, so you can contact me on this, 260-267-5760, does that work?
He's got, you zoom in later. There we go. Voting rights, transparency, and ethics, investing in our children. I like those.
Yeah.
And so...
protecting the environment, living wage is also important, but
all that stuff.
It's just
you can't get it all.
You can't get it all.
And are you having any fundraisers?
I'm trying to work on one currently. So, but if you go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Fernandez4House, which number 4, you can find out when that happens.
And when are you canvassing again? When you're getting your troops together to knock on some doors?
Contact me at Fernandez per house, and I'll get you.
Get you hooked up on a phone bank or something.
Well, yeah.
Because we gotta get you volunteers.
That's
the only way.
No.
And we're in the final stretch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got
You got 41 days.
Yeah.
I think that's what
Something like
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find you, because you are so not social media. I can't even tag you on this video.
That's not true. I am on Kim Bacon for Judge on Facebook.
What?
Okay, yes. Kim Bacon for Judge. And then I have a Gmail account for Kim Bacon for Judge, all one word, at gmail.com. And so you can find me on those 2 areas. And then, of course, I will say this, we can always visit our website for the court when you need court information, not for me personally.
Right.
Now, I am having a fundraiser this Saturday, September 29th at the Starrett Center, which is at, I'll hold this up right here, and can it be seen? I see the lines right there. It's at 8950 Otis Avenue, and it's Judge Bacon breakfast, or breakfast with Judge Bacon. And it is a $20 donation. You can donate, or just come and donate what you can. But more importantly, come hang out with me.
That means if you can donate 100, donate 100.
That's right. So come and hang out. Kids under 10 eat free. And so just make sure that you come and get to know me as a candidate, as a person, so that you know that everything's better with bacon, and that we are going to go into 2018 in victory.
So when are you canvassing?
Yes.
I know, right?
Yes. You like that, right? Everything's better with bacon. And so we will be headed out with Derek Camp on October 3rd and 4th, and we're going to be out in Precinct 56, which is, at my understanding, it's Winding Ridge, off of 56th Street. And I believe there's another precinct in there. I want to say it might be 46, but nonetheless, we will be out there October 3rd, 4th, and then whatever we don't complete, we will be back out there that Saturday, which will be October the 6th. And so then we will also be canvassing every Saturday up and through the election, and Tuesdays and Thursdays as well. So just hit me up on my email or my Facebook page so that we can find out if you're able to walk with us, and we will tell you where we're going to be at, because we'll be in precincts 34 and 35 in the next couple of weeks as well.
Excellent. That is wonderful stuff. Hey, listen, guys, check it out. We are in the stretch run of this campaign season, and we need all the volunteers that we can get. So if anyone is at the sound of my voice, whatever county you live in, find your county Democrat club, find your county Democrat party, either via online, social media, sign up to be a volunteer. And if you don't want to do that, visit the state party website, ndems.org, I think, because listen, it takes an army. And I am of the adage now, I'm not listening to nobody else complain if they're not willing to get up off their little rusty behinds and do some work. I loved, our 44 was awesome with his hope, and he brought hope, and I got it, and hope and change. But we can't sit around hoping for change. We gotta make change. We gotta get up and make it happen. You can't sit around hoping and wishing. It's right. And listen, the other thing that I need for everybody to understand, and I'm gonna keep harping on this, and I'm gonna keep talking about this. This is a citizen government. We are a citizenry government. That means we have the power. Each of us has the power to make change. Do not let the elite class make you believe that you do not have any say-so in how this government is ran and what can happen in your community. We can change all of this. I've made the error of starting to watch, learning about how money works and, man, the Federal Reserve and where that came from. So now I'm a little ticked off about that. But we have a citizen government. Get involved. The registration deadline is October 9th.
Yes.
And then the next day, early voting starts at the city county building, but in Marion County we do have now 6 early voting sites. You got
Yes.
the locations, right?
Yes, so let me read them off.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thank you. I know. Like,
I was just
thank
writing
you,
them
League
down.
of Women Voters.
Yes,
for
and-
watching.
and
Yes.
everybody that
And
was involved
everyone,
with that.
Yes.
everyone that supports.
So in Marion County, early voting sites, it opens October 26th through November 4th. Hours are from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. during the weekdays, and on the weekends from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Lawrence, I have to plug my township first. It is at the Lawrence Education and Community Center, which is the old Craig Middle School at 6501 Sunnyside Road. That's 6501 Sunnyside Road, Old Craig Middle School.
Okay.
And then we also have the International Marketplace at 3685 Commercial Drive. And then we also have Eugene and Marion Glick Technology Center at Ivy Tech, which is 2620 North Meridian Street. In Washington Township, we have 5302 North Keystone Avenue. In Perry Township, we have the Government Center in Perry Township at 4925 Shelby Street. And we have in Franklin Township, we have the Learning Center there at 6019 South Franklin Road. So any of those are available, and of course the City County Building, Monday through Friday, looks like from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then weekends, it will be the same as I stated above, with 10 to 5.
All right, any other zone they don't like? I gotta do this quick turn left. We'll catch y'all next week. Peace.